There is far too much to try and cram into one piece to summarize 2020. So what I wanted to do is basically put out 10 things which are not just remarkable, but also things which maybe we will probably never see again for a long time. So let's dive straight into the first one. This was the year which brought a whole new meaning to the term, "Don't fight the Fed." The Fed basically added $3 trillion to its balance sheet in 5 flat months. The prior $3 trillion took 5 years. That's how fast and heavy Fed came in when the COVID crisis struck. Sticking with central banks, here in India, even with inflation near 7%, RBI has persisted with what amounts to ultra-easy monetary policy. This has allowed short-term rates at record 3% and system overflowing with 6 lakh crores of liquidity. You would wonder, what has all this liquidity done to asset prices, right? Now, let's take a few examples. Apple, the largest company in the S&P 500, added the entire market capitalization of Google. Basically, Apple added a Google. And Google, by the way, is the 4th largest company in the S&P 500. You say that, well, Apple makes a lot of money, deserves to do what it did. What about a company like Zoom? Zoom was valued at under $20 billion as it came into this year. Which did not even, by the way, make it eligible for inclusion into the NASDAQ 100 index. Yet, at its October peak, Zoom was valued at $160 billion, the same as Cisco, despite only having 6% of the revenues. Let's move on. Tesla, right? It's gotten a lot of attention this year, and maybe rightly so. In 2020, it was briefly valued at 90% of all listed auto stocks in the world. Despite Tesla producing only 1/70th of the total global auto volume, unit volume. Let's move on. 2020 was also the year when the notion of negative oil prices became real. I mean, who would have thought? It was that extraordinary day in April when oil prices hit -40. Another memorable day was the 9th of November for everyone, as the world breathed a collective sigh of relief that a safe and effective vaccine was making its way through clinical trials. But, well, on that day, volatility exploded to unprecedented levels. This one is for the ages. Price momentum took the largest one-day tumble on record, moving 16.7 standard deviations in Europe and 13 standard deviations in the US. This is something which is not seen before. The next one is pretty significant as well. The amount of retail trading activity which we've seen. I focused on this the first time about 6 months ago. In India, for example, between April and November, 84 lakh new demat accounts were opened. Same period last year, the comparable number is 40 lakh. That's how large the surge has been, retail participants flooding into markets. Bitcoin came to be accepted as mainstream. Lots of institutions said, well, we will accept it as a legitimate store of value. The price of Bitcoin went up 200% this year. And to wrap all of this up, point number 10, which kind of sums this up as well, global stock market capitalization has now jumped to above $100 trillion. That is 116% of world GDP. It's at an all-time high. Well, these are 10 things which I found worth mentioning, which were weird, bizarre, extraordinary. I'm sure you can find many things that you'd want to sort of put onto this list. But remember, a lot of things I mentioned here are still work in progress, things which we will continue to track into the new year.